Imagine if somebody were to really sit down with Osama bin Laden and say, listen, man, what is it that you're so angry at me about that you're willing to have people strap bombs to themselves or get inside of airplanes and fly them into buildings? That would be the miracle, if we could sit down and talk to our enemies and find a way for them to hear us.
But the fool on the hill sees the sun going down.
If only Matthew Modine or Sean Penn were alive in the 1930s, I'm sure Hitler would not have slaughtered so many millions. I'm sure Sean Penn would have found something admirable about old Adolf, and Matthew Modine probably could have gotten an audience with him and found out why he has such enmity towards freedom-loving people. And why does he have that thing with the Jews? If only Matthew Modine could have sat down with Adolf Hitler and said, hey, man, why do you want to kill all those Jews? Why can't we just talk? You know, the idiocy of Hollywood is well established. There's almost no point in talking about it. But how it continues to metastasize under Obama is amazing to me. Here's a Hollywood idiot who hasn't done a good movie in 15 years, who is saying, why can't we sit down with Osama bin Laden and say, hey, man, why do you want to convert the world to Islam? You know, that would be cool. But if you think it's limited to the Hollywood idiots, you are mistaken. In Moscow the other day, the radical Muslims blew up a subway car. They put some women in there, blew up people. And Putin is talking tough. He says he's going to clean them out of the sewer. Of course, the libs are going crazy. They're saying it's gutter talk. They're saying, oh, that's gutter talk. That's gutter language. When he says he's going to wipe them out, we can't have gutter language. We've got to be polite gentlemen when we're talking about radical Islamists. Now, when you talk about Christian extremists, well, you can use any language you wish, or about Sarah Palin or Tea Parties. Use gutter language, but not when it comes to terrorists, because that's a sensitive issue. So at the end of this, you read the article on Putin's gutter language against the Islamists, saying he's going to scrape them out of a sewer, and you read what the morons at the Carnegie Moscow Center have to say. Now, the Carnegie organization, as you well know, is a lifetime socialist front group. So here's what a schmuck from the Carnegie Moscow Center says after the subway bombings. He says, the question is whether there will be accomplishments with social development to give people an alternative to blowing themselves up. Now, liberalism, as we well know, is a mental disorder. You could see that in Obama. You can see that in Nancy Pelosi. You can see the mental disorder in Harry Reid. You can see the mental disorder in Barney Frank. It's clear that liberalism is a mental disorder. They pass one monstrosity of a bill after another. There's no way to pay for it. They think they're winning, and they keep passing bills and programs, and they don't have the money for it. Now, if that's not insanity, I'd like to know what is. But then it metastasizes, where Hollywood now comes out through one of their people, and he says, why can't we just sit down and talk with Osama bin Laden and say, hey, man, why are you so angry at me? Why can't we sit down and talk with bin Laden, he says. Now, I noticed that Matthew Modine has grown a goatee, which is, I guess, how he got 30, 40 more points of his IQ went up there, because the goatee itself must produce some kind of IQ improvement. They're all getting one. I think I'm going to have to get rid of my goatee, which I've had since I'm 18 years old. It's now time to get rid of it. I have 170 IQ. I think I should reduce the goatee. Maybe I can give some of the hairs from my goatee as a gift to Hollywood. Perhaps it will help them. But this is not a laughing matter. When you have fools like this coming up with statements like that after a time like this and a time like that, where Obama is turning America upside down, this is a very dangerous time. Obama goes after a radical Christian group that he claims attempted to use weapons of mass destruction against the police. Now, we don't know what they mean by weapons of mass destruction. No one's even asked the question. But I have a question for you on the Savage Nation. Attorney General Eric Holder has demanded that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his terrorist cronies at Guantanamo get the benefit of gold standard civilian trials in the American justice system. Will the Christian militia members get the same treatment? Will the Christian militia members get the same level of legal assistance as the terrorists are getting? Will top-flight American law firms fly in the lowest scum of the planet with law degrees to defend them? Will the Christian militias have trials with much publicity? Will the Christian militia members have access to the internet as the terrorists have at Guantanamo. Helicopters were sent out with paramilitary forces to capture the Christian militia members. I have a question, though. Why weren't those same black helicopters sent to the collecting points of those who plotted to blow up U.S. military bases such as Fort Dix? Why has the Obama administration raided the houses of Christian militia members while not raiding communities such as Islamburg, which we've reported on for years on the Savage Nation? We know that military training has been observed at some Islamic communities in the United States of America, and yet nothing was done under Bush, nothing was done under Obama. We're going to have an expert on the show in a few minutes, in 20 minutes, who is going to talk about the Islamburgs around America. And we're going to find out why the government gives them a pass and why they crack down on this crackpot militia. Next, amnesty for 30 million illegal aliens. Nationalization of the financial industry. Step by step, Obama is going from baby dictator to papa dictator right in front of your eyes. This is the Savage Nation. We're open for business. An Arizona rancher who was a good Samaritan. He helped many illegal aliens who were dying of thirst by giving them water. One of them executed him on his own ranch after months of his wife begging the U.S. government to defend their ranch. And Big Sis did nothing. Her husband was killed by an illegal alien. Yet no black helicopters to stop the infiltration. No black helicopters when you need them. I have a question for you. Why? What about the Russia bombings? What do you think about Putin's tough talk? You know, it was his tough talk originally that got him elected to the position he's in. He made a threat to wipe out the Chechen rebels in the outhouse after they were blamed for a series of apartment building bombings that terrorized Moscow in 1999. Putin was prime minister of Russia at the time. He sent in overwhelming military force to pound the region into submission and was elected president the following year. And so now he is, in a way, embarrassed. He's embarrassed because the Chechens came back to blow up the subway station a block or two away from the Federal Security Police, which is the equivalent of their FBI. Monday's subway bombings carried out by 2 Muslim women are the first terrorist attacks in Moscow in 6 years. Notice how the vermin in the media have been quick to say Christian militia, Christian militia, Christian militia. But when they report on the bombings in Moscow, they don't say radical Muslims. They say radical Christians. All right, let's give the benefit of the doubt. We'll assume they're Christians and they're radicals. I'll take the government's word for it. Although why I should take the government's word for anything is beyond me. Liberals have said for years that someone accused of a crime is innocent until proven guilty. Do you think that this administration will maintain this standard when it comes to the Christian militia members who were arrested over the weekend? I kind of doubt it. But let's put that aside for the minute. Let's put that aside for the minute. Something is wrong with the whole picture. For this raid to have occurred when it did, right after Obama forced this health care down the throats of the American people against the will of the majority of the American people, right after making recess appointments of a communist here, a communist there, here a commie, there a commie, everywhere a left-wing radical, Obama put them in without any oversight by Congress, again bypassing the Congress, again acting like a petty tyrant, a petty dictator, again acting like a man out of control on his own power, drunk on his own power, put people in, passed the health care using every trick, every tactic known to the worst of governments around the world. Then he slams in appointees who could never pass any kind of scrutiny whatsoever. And then he flies off to visit the troops. Here's a man who was allegedly anti-war, never fired a BB gun, and yet suddenly he's commander-in-chief. There he is, getting the accolades from the troops. The poor guys over there facing these Islamic murderers on a daily basis. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, we wake up and we find out that black helicopters were sent in to arrest the Christian militia in Michigan.